Welcome to the race weekend. I'm Joe St. George. Well, are you ready? Election day is Tuesday, and I can sum up the state of the race in 3 words. It is close. You know, we here at the race weekend, we're lucky. Not only do we have a team of journalists on our payroll helping us cover every angle of the 2024 election, but we also have election partners that make us look smarter each and every day. DDHQ helps us forecast the election. They will help Scripps project the winner on Tuesday night, or Wednesday, or next week. Who knows how long this is going to take. ProPublica helps us with investigations. OpenSecrets follows the money. Politico takes us inside the halls of power like only they can. PolitiFact helps separate fact from fiction. So on this final weekend before the election, we thought let's bring the majority of our partners together. From Politico, White House and Washington correspondent Daniel Lippman joins us to kick off the show. From Decision Desk HQ, Director of Data Science, Scott Tranter. Good to see you. Scott, from ProPublica, we have reporter Andy Kroll, and from OpenSecrets, Editorial and Investigations Manager Anna Massoglia. All welcome to our partnership panel. Daniel, I want to start with you. What do you make of the final hours of this campaign, where the candidates are spending their time? Looks like Trump is going to finish it in Grand Rapids, Michigan on Monday.
Yeah, no, this has been such a wild campaign because it was never even supposed to be the Harris versus Trump campaign. We were all expecting Biden to continue as the Democratic candidate, but that was before the debate. And I think what you're seeing is the troubles that Harris has faced is because she hasn't distanced herself enough from Joe Biden. And it's very hard for any vice president who's a sitting vice president to walk away from their accomplishments in the last few years, because if they say, hey, I wasn't really involved and I don't have any responsibility for what was done, then they look weak and feckless. If the economy is not doing as great as many Americans feel like, then it looks like they are responsible.
Scott, you'll be in the war room on Tuesday night, calling states, eventually, the winner of this election. Walk us through your methodology at DDHQ for calling states. What's the easiest path to victory right now for Trump and Harris?
Yeah, so we're going to have about 1,000 people on the ground. We're going to have about 500 people out of Georgetown University, and our race call team is about 15 people. We're going to be covering 40,000 races on election night, obviously not calling all of them. But the top of the ticket, the presidential, that's going to be the closest one, and obviously the most watched. We're going to look at North Carolina and Georgia out of the gate, where our expectations are, as long as it's not extremely close. Those races will be the first big battleground states to be called sometime between 9 and midnight. And then depending on how those go, it'll tell you how important Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin are. If Donald Trump wins North Carolina and Georgia, then all he has to do is win Pennsylvania and hold all those other 2020 states, and he's the next president. If North Carolina and Georgia split, I think that's when you hold on, and this could take a week and be decided in a place like Nevada or Arizona.
It's actually a really good insight into how to watch the election results. Georgia, North Carolina, as you said, we should be able to get a projection early, and that could set the narrative for what the overnight hours look like. Anna, to you, let's talk a little about money, right? This is your specialty. Harris spent, $1 billion to make this race a coin toss. Elon Musk is handing out $1 million a day to random people in swing states, which is still being challenged for its legality. What has struck you about how money has impacted this 2024 race for the White House?
Well, the big story is how much money is flowing into the election. We're seeing huge sums of money, record amounts flowing into not just the campaign committees, but also into outside groups like super PACs that can raise and spend unlimited sums on election. We're seeing donors giving over $100 million each, in some cases hundreds of millions of dollars, in the very last few weeks of the election cycle, completely changing the game. And this could be the difference between reaching certain key demographics of voters in these swing states or not. We're seeing these different campaigns expanding dramatically just over the last few weeks and projecting nearly $15 billion for the total election cycle. $
15 billion. Wow. Wow. That even shocked me. Andy, let's talk Trump 2.0, if you will. You had a very interesting piece in ProPublica in recent days. We can pop it on screen if we can. Put them in trauma was the headline. Inside, key MAGA leaders' plans for a new Trump agenda. So what does your reporting tell us about a plan for Trump if he wins on Tuesday night? Is this a new version of draining the swamp?
Yeah, and I think the most important thing to understand about a Trump win in a future Trump administration is that it will not come as a surprise. The Trump political team, Trump himself, will not greet that news if it comes on election night in a sense of both excitement and shock. They are prepared to take power again in Washington in 2025, obviously, if he wins, in a way that they absolutely weren't in 2016 and 2017. This latest reporting of ours is just another example of that, in which this key figure, Russell Vogt, a sort of influencer, legal mind in the Trump political sphere, has essentially said they are preparing executive orders. They're preparing regulations. They're preparing all kinds of blueprints and playbooks in the event that Donald Trump wins. And so there won't be chaos and confusion, uncertainty if Trump wins and takes office again in 2025. They will have plans, personnel, a whole blueprint ready to go the moment they take office, potentially in late January of next year.
Scott, back to you. Trump campaigned in New Mexico this past week, a state that you have not colored in as suddenly being a swing state. What non-swing states? I think everybody who's watching this show, they're familiar with the 7 core battleground states, but what non-swing states are keeping you up at night?
New Mexico is one of them. Look, if Donald Trump actually performs among Hispanics the way we've seen in crosstabs, potentially winning 30 or 40%, that'd be a high watermark for a Republican presidential campaign. And so that's where places like New Mexico, I still think it's a very good probability Harris wins, but could make it a sub 5-point win for her and certainly make it interesting. Places like that, if he's able to buck the trends and get some of these higher than normal margins among Hispanics, a lot out west, potentially Texas, although I still think Texas is going to be 5 to 10 point affair, but he could run up the score in a place like that, and that's part of the reason why Florida's not on the table, is just because of that Hispanic edge he's getting. On the Harris side, look, she's got some good numbers among white females and females in general. That's good in the suburbs. So that could play a role in a place like a Kansas or something like that. I'm sure everyone's smiling about a Kansas, but those are some of the out of the box things we would look for in a really surprising night.
I did not have you saying the word Kansas in this segment. Real quick, 30 seconds, Scott. What's your gut say about when we can call this race?
Oh, I'd put about 50-50 between 12 and 4 a.m. Wednesday based on Pennsylvania. Okay,
that's good. Quick answer. Look at that. I love a data scientist. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if that's the case. Daniel, want to throw one of the last questions to you. Biggest gaffe down the stretch? Was it the Puerto Rico garbage? Was it Island? Was it Trump's rally? Was it Biden's garbage remark? What do you see as the biggest mistake of the campaigns in the final hours of this race?
Probably the biggest mistake was to not vet that comedian's opening act, because that was in the remarks. It was such a long rally, and I think it moved the needle a little bit among Latinos who maybe they're not even Puerto Rican, but they don't want to be insulted like that. Whereas Biden's gaffe, I think that if you're a MAGA voter and you were offended by that, you were already going to vote for Trump anyway. So it didn't really change that many votes, I believe.
And Anna, real quick, you said $15 billion earlier. This is the most expensive election ever, right? I mean, you're objective, you're journalist, you cover it all, but this money it's wild.
It is. We've already seen more than $4 billion in just outside spending by super PACs alone. We're seeing money being determinant of how much reach candidates can get, but it's more than just the money going into it. It's also how they're using it, whether it's going to things that actually promote their vote, get out to these different voters, or if it's going to other types of tasks like legal fees. The same dollar can mean a lot of different things depending on how you use it.
Well, we're going to have to leave the discussion there. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of your organizations for letting us borrow you so much throughout 2024. We have valued your partnership and your insight. We are all smarter for it. I know I am a smarter journalist because of it. Thank you all, and let's all have a good election night.